Mr. President, we just heard the minority leader come to the floor of the Senate, once again refusing to admit it's the Democrats who are driving America into a shutdown. Let me remind everyone what Senator Schumer himself said in 2013. That was when the government faced another government shutdown. This is his quote. He said, "What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut down the government unless I get my way?" He said, "It's a politics of idiocy." His words, "A shutdown is idiocy." They're his words, not mine. So today, Republicans are committed to keeping the government open. And we're going to vote to do that again today. The House has already passed a clean continuing resolution, bipartisan votes, and it keeps the government open and functioning for the next 7 weeks. It allows Republicans and Democrats on the Appropriations Committee to continue their bipartisan work on a full year of funding for our nation. This is where senators from both parties have a very important part to play. Now, the continuing resolution is now in the Senate. Senate Republicans support it. Senate Democrats should join us and vote yes to keep the government open, because if not, the government shuts down at midnight tonight. Now, Democrats had no problem voting for 13 clean continuing resolutions, just like the one that we have here today, and they did that when Joe Biden was president. Now they refuse to do what they did 13 times for Joe Biden. Instead, they're demanding a ransom. Senator Schumer has come to the Senate with a ransom note, $1 trillion he's asking, and just to keep the government open for 4 short weeks. This proposal is a far-left wish list. And the Democrats in this body know that they are responding to the demands of the far-left radical wing of their party. Radical, extreme, dangerous, scary. People who want to take this country far, far to the left and are happy to see a government shutdown. They are demanding a government shutdown by the Democrats in this body. So what do they want to do with this $1 trillion? It's in this wish list, this ransom note from the minority leader. Well, they want to spend $400 billion to keep Biden bonus COVID payments forever. Forever. They want to repeal reforms that strengthen Medicaid. It strengthened Medicaid for the people who need it the most. It's not what the Democrats want. They want it to go to people who are unwilling to work, want to sit home, want to get free health care. These are able-bodied individuals who refuse to work. Democrats say, give them free health care. No responsibility, none whatsoever. Oh, and they want to spend billions of dollars for overseas projects related to their obsession with extreme climate policies. The minority leader made a statement today on health care that I found to be preposterous. Because I'm a doctor, I practiced medicine for 24 years. I was at a rural hospital in Wyoming just this past week. The Democrats' proposal, the ransom note that they have provided, wants to repeal the critically important $50 billion rural hospital fund. Every Democrat in this body voted against a $50 billion rural hospital fund. Just a few minutes ago, the Senate Minority Leader came to the floor. He said that one of his members went to some rural communities in his home state and said that the health care providers there are really concerned. Well, then those health care providers haven't been informed by the Democrat senators from that state about what is in the bill that passed this summer and the incredible resources that are being made to make sure that rural hospitals can be sustained, can stay afloat, can stay open, can provide health care. The Democrats are so against rural communities of this country, view them as the enemy, the red counties. They are so fixated with the big cities and kowtowing to the big city mayors that they actually introduced a bill in July. It's stunning. They call it Protecting Healthcare Lowering Cost Act. It's preposterous because that act alone repeals the $50 billion for the rural hospital communities. So they didn't just do it once with their bill in July. They've done it again with a ransom note from Chuck Schumer to the Republicans. If you want to keep the government open for 4 short weeks, get rid of this rural healthcare hospital lifeline that hospitals all across my state and yours, Mr. President, realize is important for their sustainability to provide health care in rural communities where the next hospital may be 100 miles away. That's something foreign to the other side of the aisle, who ignore so often the rural communities in their own states, who can say they can ignore them, don't campaign there, don't go there, don't talk to those people. It's the big cities that sustain us, and we're going to actually punish the rural communities by stripping from a successful piece of legislation $50 billion set aside for rural health care in this country. What the Democrats are proposing is an outrageous shakedown. And that's why we're going to have a shutdown, because they refuse to keep the government open while we're working on bipartisan funding bills. Everything they're doing is focused on satisfying the most radical, extreme, dangerous, scary part of their party. In March, I believe Senator Schumer did the right thing. He voted with Republicans to keep the government open. And what happened? The far left immediately attacked him for doing the right thing. Nancy Pelosi said, I myself don't give anything away for nothing. She was even against him. AOC questioned why his would, quote, hand away our leverage for free. 18 of Democrats' own candidates who are running right now in open seats for the Senate in 2026. They were questioned by one of the newsletters in town. They all said they refused to say whether they're going to vote for him as the leader of the Democrat Party. So now, according to an Axios report from last week, what we've seen the minority leader do is he built a private war room, their quote, private war room with liberal groups to orchestrate a shutdown. So when I hear the minority leader come to the floor, say, oh, we don't want to do it. He's been orchestrating this, according to this news report, for months, orchestrating with his liberal private war room. He and his staff have been meeting with these groups every week for the past 2 months to plan the shutdown that begins tonight at midnight. Senator Schumer's doing exactly what he once called the politics of idiocy. He's threatening to shut down the government unless he gets everything that he wants. Well, Republicans are not going to pay the ransom, and the American people aren't going to pay the ransom. We're not going to sell out our nation's service members, our law enforcement officers, our seniors, our air traffic controllers. Let me remind everyone who pays the price for a Schumer shutdown. The American Legion warns of a shutdown that will, quote, directly affect the lives of veterans and their families. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. Vietnam Veterans of America put it plainly, quote, for veterans, a shutdown is an immediate disruption of care, support, and progress on life-saving initiatives. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. The National Fraternal Order of Police says a shutdown, quote, will cause major disruptions for programs that fund public safety efforts in our communities. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. The National Association of Police Organizations adds, federal law enforcement officers who are working to protect our cities and communities from violent crime, drugs, and guns will be putting their lives on the line without getting paid. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. The Association of Mature American Citizens warns that seniors on fixed incomes will face, quote, backlogs and service disruptions. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association says farmers and ranchers will lose, quote, predictability and stability as harvest season begins. They'll pay a price for the Schumer shutdown. The National Grocers Association warns that vital programs feeding low-income families and children will run out of money. This is the reality, Mr. President, of a Schumer shutdown. Here's the bottom line. Republicans are fighting for veterans, for service members, for law enforcement, for Border Patrol agents, for senior citizens, and for rural hospitals. Democrats are willing to shut down the government for illegal immigrants, climate extremism, and wasteful Washington spending. 12 years ago, Senator Schumer decried the politics of idiocy. Democrats shut down the government at midnight tonight. The idiocy will be theirs. The House has done its job. It passed a continuing resolution to fund the government. President Trump is ready to sign it. It's time today for the Senate to pass it. The American people are watching, and I urge my Democrat colleagues to join with us. Tear up the ransom note. Keep the government open. Otherwise, Democrats will own the Schumer shutdown. Mr. President, the American people will suffer the costs and the consequences. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.